Hi there, and welcome to a bonus episode of OMAKASE, my writing advice and inspiration podcast. The name's Max, also known as M. Karen. Every month I do a bonus episode, a workshop, where I tackle a topic picked by my patrons. Patreon.com/mkaren is the #1 place to support me and what I do. Every month I put up a poll, the patrons vote on it, and whatever of the 3 topics gets the most votes, I make a workshop on it. If you are a patron listening to this as soon as it goes up, the poll for next month goes like this. The 3 options are romance not required, a conversation about the necessity of romance in stories, whether that's true or not, depending on whether you're writing for young adults or an older audience. Is romance really required? I don't think so. The second topic is writing is hard. A tell-all conversation about my recent struggles getting back into writing after spending like 3 months doing nothing but editing. The struggle is real, and I want to make a workshop talking about how I got back to having good writing days again. And the last option for the poll is the creative reset. A conversation about the ways in which we can help reset ourselves for beginning a new project. It's very easy, and I recently dealt with this. That's why I put it up there on the board. It's a really fresh topic for me. How do you get back to coming up with new story ideas after spending a long time editing and a long time revisiting old story ideas? How do you just let go of old character archetypes, old and in a way tired ideas that you keep revisiting over and over again? How do you drop those and just start a new story anew? That right there is the creative reset. The items, again, for the patrons listening to this in December 2018, the options are again, romance not required, writing is hard, and the creative reset. If you're listening to this in January, guess what? You missed that poll. But there's another one going on right now, as well as a brand new workshop if you go to patreon.com/mkaren and pledge at least $1 a month. That right there's a pretty good deal. You also get all of my podcasts early. Alright, with that item of housekeeping out of the way, let's dive right in. Today's topic is a big one. If you're a patron, you're listening to it at the end of 2018. And if you're not, it's the brand new year. 2019's here. And I want to begin looking at the hard lessons. The stuff that I had to learn the hard way during 2018. It's important to be able to look within oneself, especially to analyze unhealthy habits and things that just make us unhappy. It's an unfortunate reality, but sometimes we are very good, very, very good at making ourselves unhappy. And I've always taken pride in my ability to just catch myself. But let's be real here, I trip all the time. It's not about not making mistakes, because being human is making mistakes. But it's important to just keep getting up and moving on. Practically all of my lessons from this year have come from the lovely people in my life, my beta readers, my lovely spouse, the people keeping an eye out for me. And if you don't have anyone keeping an eye out for you, consider this a great chance to learn from someone else's mistakes. Because life is too darn short for you to make all the mistakes. I'm breaking them into 2 categories: writing lessons and life lessons. They're intertwined because writing is my life. Writing is what I do. And having only picked up the writing lessons, I don't think my life would be as good as it feels right now. I'll just be completely honest. The last couple of years have been real rough. In a personal way, in the perspective of, the status of our country, and also in my craft. As I mentioned, I spent a quarter of the year. Like, when you say 3 months, you're like, yeah, 3 months, but that's a quarter of the year I just spent. A whole season I spent editing. And it really affected me getting back into just doing creative writing again. It's been a rough little while, but things are looking up now. I feel great, and I wanted to take this, not only this energy, And not only the topic the patrons picked, but I wanted to take this topic and really bring it into the foreground. Zoom out. Look at the last year, really year and a half to be entirely honest, and ask, what were the hardest lessons? The items, the lessons, the things where I tripped. Some of these I had to relearn many times, because sometimes I'm very stubborn. And sometimes you really need someone else to yell at you and go, Max, stop doing that. Let's talk about writing first. Life is important. I don't want you to tune out as soon as I stop doing the writing advice bit. Life advice is also very important. And trust me, I think the most important ones were the life ones for me. So let's begin with the hard lessons in writing. And I'm gonna come out with the hardest one first. I feel like this has been a bit of a theme for me, especially in writing recently. But I'm just gonna come out with the lesson that was the hardest, the lesson that still pains me right now, but I'm being better about it. Books take a long time to come out, and it sucks. I hate that so much. I have so many books in the process of coming out, and I've gotten all this amazing support from my patrons and from all of my readers, and I just want to have the next book come out, but it takes a long time, and I hate it. I hate it because I want to have all these stories out, and trust me, a bunch of them are so close, but it takes time. And to be entirely honest, getting back into writing was hard because I know how long the process is. There are books that I wrote a year and a half ago that are coming along in the process. So a part of me, a very stubborn part of me, looks at the writing process and goes, this book's not gonna come out forever, but I want you guys to see it now because it's so much fun. But I'm doing better. Really, it's mostly been my amazing spouse and her support, and also, of course, my lovely readers. Whenever I get an email or a message, it's just the sweetest thing in the world, and it just reminds me that you guys are only gonna get to read my books for the first time once, and I want that to be the best first experience possible. I always catch myself, because I know the worst version of myself I could ever be is the person who just releases the work quickly, as soon as possible, without revision, without care for it. That right there is the worst. That right there is opposite Max. And whenever I feel myself, again, like, I don't try to make it sound like I'm special or something, but like, I can catch myself when I'm being that kind of person. And I'm like, no, that's not me. So even if it takes time, the books will come out. They're on their way. It's a hard lesson. Especially, we're gonna get super real. Oh no! Creative fiction is a wonderful escape. And it's a wonderful place for you to escape from reality. And books save us. Regardless of whether we read them to escape or write them to escape, books save us. And there is sometimes the unfortunate reality that if you're in a really uncomfortable place right now, and the book that you wrote or the book that you're working on is making life easier, that's great. And I'm proud of you for going through that. But don't expect the book to come out really soon. If you are expecting that book to be a saving grace, if you're expecting that book to be the one thing that is gonna come in and rescue you, and I'm saying those really harsh words because I've been there, I've known people. It sucks to hear that, but books take a long time to come out. And I am the crazy person who is juggling the process. I have books that are, I have one that is this close to coming out, but it still needs the work. And we're going to talk about, what I learned from revision and feedback in a moment, so you will know. You will know. It's literally the points of the work that I have to do for that upcoming book. I can release it how it is now, and have people hate it, and be at the service to their patients. So I'm not going to do that. Books take a long time to come out. I know nobody likes to hear that. And If you've been working on the same book for years, you also probably hate hearing that. But this is not the easy lessons. This is the hard lessons. These are the things that I struggle with too. I hate it. I want to make this very clear. I tolerate this reality. I wish it were different. I tolerate it. I do not like it. That's why it is a hard lesson. Books take a long time to come out. That's out. Ah, thank God. It feels good to get that big boy out of the way. It's a horrible item, and I hate it. And I hate to say it sometimes because I know there's young writers who are listening to this, and the words are hard for them. Just getting a page out feels horrible. And it takes forever. And it sucks to hear that books take a long time to come out. But I find that sobering. It's a reality. It's like watching the crops grow. It takes time. They need sun and water and soil, and we cannot speed that process. The same way that a book requires paper and ink and your hand. There is no other way for that to go. But we do not stop growing crops because they take forever. We don't stop writing either. We just take them one word, one sentence, one paragraph at a time. And paragraphs become pages, pages chapters, and chapters novels. It's as simple as that. And now, for other hard writing lessons. 2 that are directly related to the act of writing. I learned a lot of hard lessons from, 1, doing a lot of editing this year. A lot of editing in like a quick succession, if you can call 3 months back to back a quick succession. And also lessons from feedback that I got from my beta readers. And it's the kind of thing, more often than not, our problems are intertwined. I don't want to give you the impression that it's just islands of problems. It's a network. Because I was so concerned with the release of my books, that caused a few oversights here and there with my editing. And I am willing to admit that. I don't want to give you the impression that I do not make mistakes. That's silly. I make lots of mistakes. But thankfully, I have wonderful people around me keeping an eye on me. One of the lessons that I picked up from beta feedback and from my own editing, I made an oversight in one of my stories. I wrote a story, a very personal story, about this character trapped in this awful situation, facing adversity from all sides. This character feels like the only person, the only one who is sane in a world of madness. In a world where everyone has accepted the same reality, she chooses to think of things differently and to behave differently. And to not lower herself to the same lowness, to the same state as the people around her. In the act of revision, I spent a long time trying to make her more likable, or trying to soften the edge of her statements. One of my notes from the first draft to the first revision pass was, Max, please, and I literally wrote this. I wrote this in the margins. Max, please make this character sound less like a psycho. Make her sound less like she's this radical person. And every pass, I didn't flat out change her words, but I dampened them a little. I dampened the edge to the words that she was saying, not to lose the meaning, but also to add more foundation to what she was saying. A lot of the feedback that I got was that she was still very much unlikable. And I'm not saying that that's like the worst thing ever, because it's not. But it was a problem that I realized I had tackled the wrong way. Instead of just trying to, soften the blow of the thing she was saying. The one thing that I never did, and one of my beta readers pointed this out, one of the things that I never did throughout the book was give you a chance to just see her be a normal person. Just see her just doing things, just see her in a moment where she is not, focused on the cruel reality of the world. And, there's something to be said about the reality that, yeah, when you live in a world like this, maybe you don't have moments of respite like that. But what I realized from that piece of feedback is that I never just gave the reader time to just get to know the character, just get a feeling for who they are. The story starts running. Not literally with her running, but you get the feeling, I realized that, I usually have a lot of character moments in my stories. I usually, I love doing the thing where characters are just sitting around talking or just doing something together, making breakfast, something. I love that stuff. But the pacing of the story didn't allow for that. And honestly, I overlooked it. I was so focused on one thing that I overlooked something else. So it became this thing that I just have written, in big, bold letters. Just, character comes first. And I know it sounds silly, but Max, you talk about that all the time, yeah. I make mistakes. I forgot about that. I was so busy with the horrible reality of the world that I overlooked, just showing you her humanity. And in a way, she's very absorbed with the situation that she is in the story, and that's fair, but she's still a human being, and I should have showed more of that character. I should have showed more of who she was as a person. That right there. I wrote that book, transcribed it, revised it, edited it, did tons of that. And what I want you to realize is, okay, the two lessons that I picked up from revision and beta feedback were two things that I completely overlooked. You know how, like, when you're editing a story and you send it out to people, you're terrified of what they're going to think. And for a moment, you think to yourself, well, I did the best that I could. And then you're thinking to yourselves, well, this here is fine and this here is fine. During revision, you spend a lot of time trying to fix one thing. The things that you see as weaknesses, you reinforce. Like, for instance, softening the edge of the main character's statements in the story. I thought that was a weakness. I focused on that. I spent so much time focusing on one thing that I completely overlooked two other glaring problems. One of which was the lack of the main character's humanity. I'm not saying that she sounded like a robot, but as I mentioned, she was kind of unlikable. I completely overlooked just showing you her humanity. I completely overlooked, having moments where you just get to see her be a decent human being. And the other thing, I'm weaving them together because they're literally intertwined. As I mentioned, these are not islands of problems. It's a network of problems. The other problem that I had in the story, and this is a very Max thing. I don't know if you have dealt with this. This setting, this world, required a bit of explaining stuff. A bit of establishing how rules work. And how the core of the premise is established. And I'm being very vague, but hey, that's the way the card has been dealt. I had to explain a lot of stuff, and me being the person that I am, I explained all of that stuff right away, and I reinforced it throughout the story. I didn't just explain it once. I explained it at the beginning, and then I reinforced it. This is a very Max thing. This is something that I do, and I'm not saying that that's the way I like stories, because I consume everything, When I was writing the story, it felt natural to have things be that way, so I had them be that way. One of the points that I had, one of the points that I got from feedback, and one of the things that now I see clearly now, because, once you catch up with yourself, you realize, wow, what was I thinking when I did that? One of the problems with explaining everything right away is that the reader is not holding all of that information with them. For me, as the writer, it was easy, and for me as the editor, it was easy because I know the story. I know the world. I don't have the questions that a normal person would have. And one of the things that now, I'm not saying I'm making it a rule, but it's a sort of thing where in a story, I promise from now on, and in the stories that I'm working on, I will not start you out with exposition ever again. Because I realize now, and one of my beta readers just said it so eloquently, is like, just explain things when they become relevant for the first time. And when I heard that, I went, oh my god, and I'm the one who does writing advice. I couldn't, there's no way I can phrase that in a much more clear way. Explain the world-building elements as soon as they are introduced the first time. There is no point explaining the magic system before it even shows up. There is no point. The reader is not holding that information in random access memory. They're not holding it in their RAM. And I know someone out there is like, yeah, Max, duh. I know, but I didn't realize that. Now I'm in the future with you, and of course I realize the error of my ways. But please reference note number 1. I'm human and I make mistakes. I make really dumb mistakes sometimes. And, this is why feedback is important. I want to stress this. I want to underline this, highlight it. Like surround it in a box. Put washi tape around it. Feedback is crucial. I was so focused on what I thought were the problems in the story that I overlooked basically giving no humanity to the main character and overwhelming the reader with information at times in which it was not relevant. And I'm the one who does writing advice. But that's what feedback is important. It wasn't that I completely forgot what makes a story effective. It was that I was focused on the other things. The stuff that from my point of view, from someone who holds all the information, from someone who knows about the story and knows about all the different versions of the story, I thought, well, this has got to be the problem. Turns out, I could make mistakes. I know! It's a surprise. To me, at least, That's a joke. That's a bit. I think those two are the biggest ones. Those two right there are two huge writing hard lessons. One, because they completely blindsided me. And that's, again, why feedback is so important. But there are also things that I had never externalized, Because this is the thing, okay? And I know that, it makes me sound like I'm boasting or, showing off. But, in a setting, if I'm watching a show and they give me the rules to the magic system in the first paragraph, I will remember them. But that's because I'm weird. And that's also because it's part of my job to look for inconsistencies. So whenever I'm reading a book or I'm watching a movie or watching a show, whenever a fact is stated, I actually hold it in, random access memory. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to catch you contradicting yourself. Most of the time it happens because inconsistencies are a thing that happens a lot. And if you're familiar with my other channel and how my lovely wife and I just literally do that. We just go through shows pointing out inconsistencies. Especially the really bad shows, where, you can sometimes catch really badly written shows contradicting themselves multiple times. And that's hilarious. But that's neither here nor there. What were the hard writing lessons for 2018? Again, books take a long time. Let me say that again. Books take a long time to come out. It's a long process. I did a bonus episode talking about the steps of making a novel. I believe it's the second one that I made. It should be at the very bottom of the feed if you're looking for it. And in it, I went through all the steps. And some people, I knew people were going to feel overwhelmed. And I don't want to say that was the point, but because the point was honesty. But that's the reality of it. If you're just getting started and you really want to have your work out there, it may seem as though writing the book is the hardest part of the process. And I'm not saying it isn't. I would argue that every part of the process is the hardest part of the process. But I don't want you to feel discouraged. I don't want you to, look at the reality that books take a long time and quit writing. I don't want that. Because the world needs more stories. And it needs your stories. Keep writing. I want you to, if it helps, look at writing as a part of your life. As a part that is going to be there. I want to believe that if you like writing, you don't just want to get a book out there. I am certain that you have countless stories inside of you. I know I do. A lot of stories I want to write. And I'm trying to get through them one at a time. Books take a long time. As for the other two, the hard concrete lessons, make sure to show your main characters humanity. Give them a little bit of extra time. And explain the world building parts as soon as they become relevant. You don't start with the lore explanation as how the fantasy world came to be. It doesn't matter. Introduce it. Don't mind the plane outside. Introduce it the first instant it becomes relevant to the story at hand. Okay? Okay. And now, let us skip over. You're hearing the chinchillas playing in the background. Lots of background noise today. I can't help it. I mean, I could help with the chinchillas, but I sure can't help with the plane outside. Anyhow, let's move away from writing lessons into the hard life lessons of 2018. And I feel that I ought to start with the hard one again. The hardest of them. The biggest, the ugliest. Although in a way it's probably the best one for you to internalize right away. As I mentioned again, our problems are often intertwined. They're not individual things. They don't exist in their own corner of our mind. Everything's connected like a spider web. One of the hardest lessons for me this year. A little bit less writing, but still related to writing, honestly. Stop being so hard on yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. You can waste a lot of your time feeling bad about the things you didn't, feeling bad about the things you messed up. You can waste the present and let it pile up in the past, along with all the other things you regret. Stop being so hard on yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. What matters is that we get up and keep on going. And I know what you're thinking, but Max, I got nothing done during the summer. But Max, I forgot to call my friends. But Max, I forgot about this birthday. Or Max, I had this chance to do this job, this chance to do this internship. I really made a mistake here. I hurt someone's feelings. I broke something that can't be replaced. I know. And it sucks. And it's unfortunate. And there are things that can't ever be replaced. The one that we never notice, though, is time. Stop being hard on yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. I'm not saying don't feel bad that you made a mistake in the past. I'm not saying don't learn from the mistakes you made. But I think that if you did something and you realize that you did something real bad and you are learning from it, you can probably let go of that guilt and focus on the now. You can waste a lot of your time. Trust me, I know. You can waste a lot of your time feeling guilty over that little mistake you made. And the big ones too. But at the end of it all, time keeps going forward. The days pass. And they too build up, piling on the list of things that we feel bad about. But what about the now? I know a lot of people who Every November. Every November. Come out of it feeling worse. They attempt NaNoWriMo, and they do not reach the arbitrary goal of 50,000 words in 30 days. And they think to themselves, well, there goes my chance. And I hate that. It's not that I hate the people who attempt it, or that I hate NaNoWriMo. It's that I ultimately think that it doesn't matter how many times you fail at something, as long as you keep trying. And I mean, ultimately for writing, you don't fail because you didn't meet an arbitrary word goal at the end of the month. Any words you put down are words that matter, words that help. Writing is a verb. It's a thing you do. So you have to keep on writing. It's the only way books get finished. Books take long enough as it is. But I know. It's hard. It's hard when you feel bad about all those stories that you've left behind. It's hard enough when you feel bad about the chances that you missed. The people you never got to say those things to. The moments that are gone. The time we can't get back. But I want you to stop worrying. Make the most of the now. And I don't want to get real again, but I guess I ought to. It's the only way. It's the first item of the life section. You know, the past is the past. The past is through. The future is uncertain and not guaranteed, but what you have now, for certain, is the gift of the present. The now. It's still the banner on my Twitter, and it's still the banner on my YouTube, but the slogan that I've always had is, today is a good day to write. Not tomorrow, and certainly not yesterday. Today is a good day to write. Stop being so hard on yourself. If anything, because you being hard on yourself won't make the books come out faster. You being miserable, as a matter of fact, will only make your creative process even more difficult. Trust me, I know. And with that big one out of the way, there's one more item I want to just drop in. And it's a tiny one, and everybody hates this one. I know everybody hates it. I'm really bad at it too, but I'm improving. I'm working on it. The other life lesson, and it's linked to writing as well, trust me. I've been saying this for years. If you want to take care of the writing, you must take care of the writer. Of you. That's you, by the way. You're not just a machine that just puts words on the page. You're not a device that makes novels. You're a person, a living being, an organism. And a good lesson to take to heart, one that I am taking past 2018 into 2019, is to please take breaks. Take breaks. It's okay to have days off. It's okay to not write every day. You can consider this to be part of the don't be so hard on yourself, please point. You should definitely take breaks. I need not point at the bountiful wealths of research that points at how bad it is for you to be sitting down all day. Get up from your chair every once in a while. Stretch your hands. Stretch your legs. Exercise is important, but I assume most people get more exercise than I do, seeing as how I work from home. Still, I go on walks, mostly because it helps with my writing, but taking breaks. If you're unfamiliar with the Pomodoro method, it is a very helpful way to manage time in which you focus on one task and one task only for 25 minutes. You put a little kitchen timer or the timer on your phone. You set it to 25 minutes. You agree with yourself mentally that you are going to work on one task without interruptions. Full focus. You do it. When the timer goes off, you get up. You take a quick break. You take care of your human needs because you are a human being. You drink water. You breathe. You stretch. You sit down. Set the timer again. Rinse. Repeat. Especially when it comes to writing. Because I know that it can be very easy, especially if you work retail or you work for a company where you have a set amount of hours you have to work every single day. It is very easy to fall into the trap of seeing your time and your work as labor. But writing is not labor. You're not a machine that makes stories, a device that creates novels. You are a living thing, and writing is an activity that requires your full attention. Sometimes even more. That's why the Pomodoro method has helped me forever. I am not always the best at taking breaks, but I do what I can, and it helps. There is a very clear division at the start of the year when I was really, really bad at taking breaks and lunches. And when I finally started, when my lovely spouse started really enforcing it, and when I realized that I was really being detrimental to my health. Is that thing where you think, well, I'm going to work more and get more done. I mostly joke about that now. But that line before I took it seriously, and when I started taking it seriously, and my health just improved. My mental state improved. And I didn't feel tired every single minute of the day. Writing is hard. I want you to not look at writing as labor. Again, it's a different task. It is one that requires your full attention, and it's exhausting in its own different way. So please, not only when it comes to writing, but also with real life. When you need time for yourself, time to disconnect from the world, time to decompress, time to step away and heal, please take it. You need not write every single day. It's a nice goal, but it's not something that you need to do. Take breaks. I cannot begin to describe literally one of the lessons that I picked up near the end of the year. I have learned to now, I can physically note when I am so mentally exhausted and physically exhausted that all my creativity just fades away. I was trying to start a new novel, a new project, so tired and exhausted that my usual self, which is usually finding story ideas left and right, could not come up with anything to write. And after taking a few days off, after taking it really easy for a little bit, the stories found me. I wasn't even looking. You gotta take care of yourself. I'll say it one more time. Take breaks and respect them. You are not a machine that writes. You are not a device that creates novels. You're a living, breathing thing. And you should take breaks. And you should cherish that time that you have to rest and relax. You are not allowed to feel guilty for taking time off. Not allowed. Absolutely not allowed. So once again, the life lessons that I picked up this year immediately intertwined with my writing lessons. I need not connect the dots. You're all very clever people. I know you can already see how I ended up. Don't be so hard on yourself. And take breaks. Stretch your hands. Look up hand stretching exercises. I am I've been here so many times. I'm mad because I back when I worked at the office. Oh, here we go. We're moving away from main topic Max to side Max. Back when I worked at the laboratory, when I was working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, I got the only warning you ever get. I started getting a really sharp pain in one of my hands, at the base of my right wrist. I started getting the sharp pain, and that is the only warning you get before carpal tunnel. That's the only warning you ever get. And the instant I got it, I said, okay, I'm changing this whole setup. I'm changing my entire life setup, because carpal tunnel is really bad, and it's super preventable. Take care of your body. Take care of yourself. Stretch your hands, get up from the desk, walk a little, take deep breaths, drink water, and the writing will be better, and you will be better. I hope today's presentation was fun. I hope that you have learned from one of my many mistakes this year. And I hope that if anything, I showed you another point of view. My name is Max, also known as M. Kieran, and this is Omakase, my writing advice and inspiration podcast. Hi there! We're gonna be moving out of the main podcast. If you're unfamiliar with my stuff, if this is the first time you're listening to me, I do a weekly writing advice podcast titled Omakase. I talk about my week, I do writing questions from the viewers, and I do a creative prompt at the end of every show. This is a bonus episode dedicated to my patrons who pick the topic. There is a brand new one available a month before it goes live on YouTube, and a new poll over at patreon.com/mkieran. And now, as an additional reward, at the end of every show, I give a shout out to every single one of my patrons pledging $1 and up. I am about to step into what we call the end of the video club. You don't have to stick around if you don't wanna. I wanna just be reading all the lovely people who support me on patreon.com/mkieran. Also, the silliness starts now, so if you don't want silliness, or if you just want to go do something else, go have fun, take care of yourself. And if you're listening to this when it first goes live for Patreons, I hope you have a lovely new year. And to everyone else catching up with me in the future, let's make the best out of 2019. Okay? Okay. And now, it is time to give a lovely shout out to every person making the show a reality on Patreon. First off, A. Howard, Atlac, Alistair Baywood. We have new patron, Alex Cast. Alex Cast. Ooh, that's a nice picture too. Hey, Alex. Thank you. That's a cool spelling of Alex. That's A-L-I-X. That's cool. I like that. Don't mind me taking a sip of water. Thank you for the support, Alex. Also, Alyssa Dudley, Amanda Stevens, Amelia, Amy Palmer, Angela, Aniexo Hoshi, Biting the Sun, Blarg, Brenda, C.E. Richards, Caitlin, and the other Caitlin, Kathy Lindsay, Christiane, Christine Dennis, Kristen Lofton, Clem Pastor, Eleanor, Erisose, Joffrey Raby, Gilbert Gaudreau, Hero Song, Irina Phoenix, Janosch Heibotsky, Jaytana Kirkwood, Jeffrey James Williams, Jay Suwiki, Juan Nunes, K.M. Anderson, Kameshwar Rao Shaluri, Kaylee, Kiel, Lacey. Yeah, I always go in on your name. I like, yeah, Lacey was commenting in one of the recent videos, is like, Max, you go so hard on my name, and I'm like, of course, I got to! Also, you changed your profile picture. That's cute. That's nice. That's nice. Lacey! You gotta do it, you gotta do it. It's like with Blarg. It's like with Blarg, okay? I'm not saying that the other names don't have a lot of character to them, but it's just like, you gotta bring a little bit of, a little bit of a melody to it. Lier Kello, Lishadra, MT Locatelli. See that right there? Just a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a. You see, some names just lend themselves more to the extra. See, I know what the cool kids say nowadays. Extra. Sometimes you gotta be a little bit extra on the shoutouts, like with MT Locatelli. Also, Mark Maruska. Maruska. I'm doing hand motions with my hands. It would be funny if I was doing hand motions with like my feet. But yeah, just you can't see them because this is audio only. But Mark Maruska, Mary Foster-Smith, Nicola, Nicole Grissom, Nicolay, Noam Sahar, Novels and Tomes, Pablo, Pat Eidson, Polycraftual, Raquel Fernandez, Rhiannon August, Roa, Shimmer Tales, Sky D. White, Solmuse, Sylvia Leitilla, Synexia, and Wendy Christopher. I appreciate there being no planes up until I finish doing shoutouts. I don't know what's up with... I don't live in a street where, like, cars pass by. I want you to realize that, okay? Because it's not like I live in a busy street or anything. It's not busy at all. But somehow, for some reasons, the cars that drive by here make lots and lots of noise. Or drive really fast. And I'm like... I don't want to describe where I live. But let's just say that I live at the end of I live with a road on all sides. So the idea that someone's literally doing a long U-turn at high speeds, just like, what you all doing over there? Just like drifting? What? Are we renting on like a Mario Kart track or something? Is that what I keep hearing in the background? Alright. So, this video is gonna go up in January, and as you know, it goes up a month early to patrons. So, I don't know what the world's gonna look like in a month from now. What I do know is that I'm recording this on the 15th of December 2018. Smash Brothers Ultimate has been out for like a week and a day. My lovely spouse and I played lots of Smash. Lots of Smash. I know people are wondering. I know. It's the end of the video club. I can talk about video games if I want. Max, what's your main? What are you maining in Smash Brothers Ultimate? Excuse me, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate for the Switch. My favorite character, without realizing it, happens to be Snake. And it's not because I love Metal Gear. I believe my love for the Metal Gear franchise shifts slightly, as more time passes. I've gone from thinking the writing in those games was really good to the current state in which I am at right now. But mechanically wise, the character of Snake is very interesting and fun, and also super unfair. Like, I know that, if you're playing competitively, it's like, yeah, well, Snake's bad. Snake is actually like a low mid-tier character, and I'm like, listen, I don't care about your esports stuff. When I'm playing with my friends, and I just do the side B, and he pulls out a rocket that I can control manually, and I just dunk my friends every time, it feels unfair. And great. See, because defeating someone... Sorry, I don't know if you didn't notice because she was really good today. My lovely spouse has been in the recording room the whole time.
Woo.
Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, that's my wife.
My wife. Follow us to youtube.com/StangoZero.
I was talking about dunking people as Snake, and then she looked up at me like, yeah, sure, Max. Yeah, sure you do. Doesn't it feel unfair?
We can all down inside B.
Okay, listen. My skills include down B as Kirby, down B as Link, down B as Pikachu. Well, see, Snake's down B is not as good.
That's true.
Because he just puts a landmine.
That's true, and you have to detonate it manually.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
No.
Alright. I'm out of here. There's a timer's going. I want to thank you all for watching.
Get out of the podcast. Say hi to your lovely wife. Spend time with your wife.
I'm gonna go. I've also been playing a lot of Picross just to think that it's bad. I don't know how I let this happen. We have almost played as much Picross as we have been playing Smash. That's not true, but anyhow, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And I will see you on the next one.